Jessica Berkeley, and Kristen McKinley.
Good afternoon. I'm Jessica Berkeley.
And I'm Kristen McKinley.
And we'd like to welcome you to graduation 1992. CSU has been a significant part of the lives of the graduating seniors. Many of us have been here for a third of our lives, since we were naive 7th graders. We came to Mr. Newberger's Math 7 class, for example, unaware that we'd ever be integrating by parts in Mr. Wisdom's calculus class, or that calculus even existed. Over the years, CSU has introduced us to different relationships and new experiences. Because of these introductions, we are finally ready to make our way on our own. These new relationships and experiences began during our first 2 years here in middle school. Many of us, quote, went steady for the first time, which really consisted of going nowhere. Going steady meant talking on the phone, passing notes in class, and maybe even sitting together at lunch. When our mothers would ask us exactly where we were going, of course we'd reply, "Mom, we're just going." Some of us might remember our first kisses by the cafeteria phone when we would sneak away from a dance to, quote, call our mothers.
In 8th grade, we went on our first class trip to the Marin Headlands. Not only did our friendships grow stronger here, but many new couples were also formed. The sparks were flying between Ray and Shannon, but Ray was too shy to do anything about it, so he occupied his time by sitting on the beach trying to dig to China. Problems were surfacing in Jess and Darren's relationship. Although they took a sunset stroll on the beach together, Jess was wearing Jay's jacket. What did that mean? Sarah and Tyler also saw their love blossom during that trip. But all of the rest of the guys had their eyes on their new foreign babes, Dahlia, Candice, and Hannah. This is what we remember as our first class bonding trip. Along with these new relationships came new experiences and attitudes. We were proud to be the first class to produce a middle school musical called HMS Pinafore. In HMS Pinafore, many of us acted, danced, and sang in front of an audience for the first time. Even at this young age, Mara was displaying her acting ability and playing the role of Sir Joseph Porter, KCP. During these years, we learned that by behaving in class, we were given more freedom. In Mr. Fisher's 8th grade American history class, for example, we spent a day as 60s flower children, listening and singing to the peaceful music of Peter, Paul, and Mary and the Beatles. Of course, we all enjoyed this freedom, but since it was new, and since we were beginning our more rebellious stages, we often went too far and took advantage of this freedom. One day in 8th grade English class, we succeeded in taping every single desk together in 40 minutes without the teacher knowing. Writing notes was a popular pastime during our classes and another example of how we abused our freedom. A few unlucky souls would undoubtedly get caught, and the punishment was that the note would be read aloud, much to the horror of the writer. We all remember when Mr. Newberger caught Kristen with a note that revealed her new secret affair with Maven. It was a secret no longer. Then we were freshmen and we were mature, or at least we thought we were. Kathleen's party at the beginning of the year introduced the old students to the new ones. With our class doubling in size, there were many new people to meet and new friendships to make. It was here that we all heard Kyle's voice for the first time, but certainly not the last. It also began a few more serious, long-lasting relationships. Steph met Ned and Sean met Nicole for the first time. They were the lucky ones. The rest of us had to worry about who our date was going to be for the winter formal. And once we had that figured out, we had to worry about what we were going to wear, where we were going to eat, who was going to drive us there, and what our parents would let us do afterwards. The girls were worrying about how to put on a boutonniere without drawing blood, and the guys were busy learning how to tie their bow ties and put on their studs. In the classroom, it was Mr. Margulis who held our attention. He taught us not only about analyzing poetry, but also about what it means to be a friend.
We took another class trip that year, this time to Hutter Park for an overnight camping trip. As we sat by the campfire listening to Mr. P play his guitar and Doc strum his banjo, we realized that this was our second class bonding trip. After the campfire had died and the marshmallows had been roasted, certain students congregated in one of the larger tents to play a serious round of Truth or Dare. One of the triple dog dares resulted in an unromantic peck on the cheek that Melissa gave Sterling. Or was it Sterling who gave Melissa? In any case, CSU had introduced us to something new once again, the trust that comes with close friendships and a close class. During our sophomore and junior years, we were introduced to a word that would completely control our lives until second semester of senior year: stress. Sophomore year, we didn't feel the full effects of the word because we were so thrilled and preoccupied by our new free periods. Suddenly, we couldn't remember life before them. But then again, we needed them more now because we had to face Mr. Hollyvar's odd ducks and the tons of work that went with them. Junior year, we felt the full effects. We took SATs, APs, achievements, finals, and wrote term papers. Although life always seemed busy, there were occasional breaks of fun, such as junior senior kidnap when we took the seniors to the Giants baseball game, a class ski trip, and our first prom on the 36th floor of the San Francisco Hyatt.
Now that we're graduating and going off to college next year, it's easy to see how CSU has truly prepared us for life on our own. By taking this stroll down memory lane, we hope to remind the seniors of how we've experienced so many new things together.
Although we'll all be going in different directions after today, we'll always have our first kiss, our first formal, our first bonding experience, and our first long-lasting friendships with each other. We'd like to thank CSU for giving us these many opportunities.
And we'd like to thank our classmates for all the humor, understanding, and great times you provided us with these past few years. We won't ever forget you guys.
Thank you for coming and welcome to graduation 1992.
Thank you, Kristen and Jess. I too welcome all of you to this commencement, honoring the class of 1992 and our 8th grade class, the class of 1996. Every year at this time, it is my privilege to pay special tribute to the graduates, the 115 young people passing on to college or into high school today is the largest number to do so at this school in its almost 40-year history. At the outset, I salute each student for her or his unique contribution to our school. Commencement gives each of us the opportunity to reflect on the past year and take a glimpse into the future. During the year, all of us applauded changes in Eastern Europe and in the Soviet Union, which signaled the end of the Cold War. We now also think of South Central Los Angeles, Serbia, Croatia, Haiti, Thailand, Peru, and now the Rio Conference in Brazil as indicative of the complex world into which our seniors will be moving, a world full of possibility for enlightened leadership. Along with H.L. Mencken, I cautioned, quote, that for every deep and complex problem facing our society, there is a simple answer, and it's wrong. Our hope as a faculty is that we have helped the students entrusted to our care discover a sense of self, establish an ability to analyze and act, gain a love of learning that lasts throughout their lives, and understand teamwork and fair play. As I wrote in my recent newsletter to parents, we are successful as an educational community to the degree that we instill a compassion and understanding in all who enter our program. 18 of this 8th grade class of 54 entered the school when I did in September 1989. Through their years, this class has dominated History Day competition in San Mateo County. They have filled the stage for the middle school musicals, 2 by Gilbert and Sullivan, The Pirates of Penzance and The Mikado, wrapped around the Pied Piper 2 years ago. They balanced their academic, dramatic, and singing successes with triumphs in sports as well. The middle school girls varsity volleyballers were undefeated this year, bringing home the league trophy. Their only brief miscalculation was challenging the faculty after the season. I'll say no more. The girls continued lead success in basketball, going to the playoffs, and an undefeated soccer squad. The boys racked up playoff contending seasons in soccer, basketball, and baseball. The teachers and athletic coaches in the high school await this fine class. 15 8th graders remembered vividly the fall Marin Headlands trip, where their intrepid CSU leader, an ex-geography teacher, I am told, took a wrong turn and walked you an extra 2 miles straight up. All of you recovered to contribute mightily to the comprehensive middle school literary magazine that was published this week. Some served as student council officers who did a superb job organizing dances this year. Each of you should be able to do the Oogie Boogie by now. You are an academically able and highly talented class. We look forward to your entrance into the high schools. Those leaving us today, the seniors, can boast of similar records in activities and academics. 21 of you have been here since 7th grade, and 2 others who started with this class left and later returned. You now total 61 and will soon depart for 40 different colleges and universities in 19 states and 1 foreign country. 23 are headed east, while 24 will stay in state. 4 were National Merit finalists, and 2 of them received scholarships, with 7 other commended students. In fact, members of this remarkably diverse class received scholarships from organizations ranging as widely as the Japanese American Citizens League, the Personnel Council of Northern California, Society for Women Engineers, and the Organization of Chinese American Nationals, Inc. This active, involved, cohesive class has really led the school in activities and athletics for several years. There were more peer helpers than in any class since the program began, 16. Seniors formed the Heart of Man's Men and fixed Chicks, the school singing groups, the Flute Ensemble, the Cardinal Club, our community service organization, and the various publications. The dramatic stage has been filled with seniors for years, culminating in the fall play I Remember Mama and How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying in the spring. Dance and orchestra will sorely miss the talents and involvement of seniors. Coaches can look back on senior-led teams that went to league playoffs in girls and boys soccer, boys basketball and baseball, as well as triumphs in co-ed badminton. The Spirit Week competition in the fall, won by the seniors this year legitimately. No homework spirit days in support of athletic teams, JSA, Crystal Visions, Big Brother, Big Sister picnics, and many extremely successful dances. The seniors were the driving force in a highly active and successful year. I am pleased to honor them for this year's accomplishment and for the important place they have held in this dynamic school over their years here. Commencement offers a brief moment to thank some people who have been extremely important in service to the school. First, I want to mention senior parents, Linda Stoney, who led the Parents Association, and Ann Glover, who, as program chair, promoted community building activities during the year. Also, senior parent Jane Scribner, along with Nancy Forrester, who organized a superb mansion march, which started the school on a student center project, which will come to fruition in 1993, we hope. As we give our appreciation to Larry Moore for his time on the Board of Trustees, we welcome 3 new trustees: Stan Dirks, parent; Winifred Homersmith, parent and alumna; and Arnold Pat Jones, parent. They assume their duties after this ceremony. And on a personal note, I want to thank Isaac Stein, board president, for his steadfast attention to the leadership of this fine school. For all of the people mentioned, I would ask you to join me in a round of applause. Our school is a special place because teachers spend countless hours in and out of the classroom, counseling, instructing, and talking with students. They are unique individuals who devote their lives to making this a better world by opening their students' eyes to the wonders that will emerge and engage them forever. 3 of that number are leaving: Warren Long in science, Joel Margulis in English, and Manfred Baumel, our Fulbright exchange teacher from Germany, in history. I wish to thank them for their devotion to this school and hope that the audience would help me tell all of the teachers how much we appreciate their work with the students at this school. As has become the tradition at CSU commencement exercises, the seniors have selected a faculty member to speak to us, and I am now pleased to introduce Joel Margulis. As I stand in front of the Uplands building each morning to greet arriving students and their families, I often have a chance to observe the Margulis phenomenon. It starts as middle school students catch sight of this genial man cutting across the center island and heading towards his classroom. The chorus of "Marg, Marg" starts in earnest, and soon several students gather around this teacher as he starts his day. As noted in the dedication of this year's impressive yearbook, Mr. Margulis has been a special friend and counselor to many classes of CSU students. Mr. Margulis came to Crystal Springs Uplands 7 years ago from a position as instructor of computer and computer applications in San Francisco. Most of his academic teaching had been done at the St. Louis, Missouri Community College as an English instructor in composition and in World and English Survey courses. He received both his BA and MA from the University of Missouri in history and English, respectively. He is also the author of several books and articles on language. I am pleased to introduce teacher, avid athletic contest attender, and friend of countless CSU students, past and present, Joel Margulis.
I'll just go home. Headmaster, trustees, faculty, parents, guests, 8th grade graduates, and the graduating class of 1992. As a member of the last radio generation, that group that came of age before television, it seems fitting that I begin today by invoking the name of Jack Benny. Benny, basically a radio personality, is no longer a household name, but he was revered by millions across a number of generations, perhaps the greatest comedian that ever lived, and, despite his carefully crafted reputation as a penny pincher, a very generous man. Benny did much for charity, using his limited talent on the violin to raise millions of dollars. He used to say that when he stood on stage in white tie and tails for his violin concerts, and raised his bow to begin his routine, scraping through his theme song, Love in Bloom, that he felt like a great violinist. He reasoned that if he weren't a great violinist, what was he doing dressed in tails and about to play before a large audience? Now, if I were to use comparable logic, I could assume that I must be a great speaker. Otherwise, what would I be doing standing at this microphone in front of all these people on such an auspicious occasion? But the fact is that Jack Benny was not a great violinist. Still, he was on stage for a purpose. He had a message. And I am not a great speaker. But I too have a message for not only the graduating seniors, but the middle school graduates as well. I have come today to plant a weed in each of your minds. For as one Zen master has said, you should be grateful for the weeds you have in your mind, because eventually they will enrich you. My message, my weed, originates in the minds and hearts of two 19th century intellectual giants, Joseph Conrad, the author, and Charles Darwin, the scientist, two geniuses in quest of the truth. Our study of one teaches us who we are. Our study of the other teaches us how we are to live. In Conrad's Heart of Darkness, for my money, the greatest novel ever written. I've talked about it in class. We see human beings as they are. In Darwin's life, we see human beings as they can be, the heights to which they can rise and remain. In the profound and beautiful and horrifying Heart of Darkness, Conrad crafts a picture of the beast lurking in each of us beneath the thin veneer of what we call civilization. Late in the novel, Marlowe, the Buddha-like narrator who relates his tale of penetration into parallel darknesses of Africa on the one hand and human essence on the other, confirms our worst fears about ourselves. He concludes, life is a mysterious arrangement of merciless logic for a futile purpose. This same stunning inference surely has a fresh ring to it in the minds of the middle school graduates, having just finished studying William Golding's Lord of the Flies. A group of youngsters left to their own devices on a deserted island sink ever deeper into internecine strife. The mystic of the group, Simon, becomes inarticulate in his effort to express mankind's essential illness. And Ralph, the force for good, weeps at the novel's end for the darkness of man's heart. But all is not lost. The example of Darwin's life carries us above this painful, though undeniable truth. He makes us see, in a positive sense, what Marlowe in Heart of Darkness confesses to his shipmates as it gently dips and rises in the Thames. The mind of man is capable of anything, he says, because everything is in it. Darwin's life, especially his curiosity and compassion, stands as testament to the upper reaches of our capability suggested by Conrad's narrator. He was indeed a curious man, Darwin. When I am obliged to give up observation and experiment, he said, I shall die. His pursuit, as everyone knows, gave us one of the centerpieces in the history of science. Even more enduring than his curiosity, however, is his compassion. During the 5 years from 1831 to 1836 that he spent aboard the Beagle, formulating the theory that would all but castigate him from society, he was terribly afflicted with seasickness. But nothing wrenched his insides more violently than a first-hand look in South America at slavery, an institution he instinctively abhorred. His predisposition against it, he had been counseled, would change. However, to his sister Caroline, he wrote from his historic voyage, I was told before leaving England that after living in slave countries, all my opinions would be altered. However, the only alteration I am aware of is forming a much higher estimate of the Negro character. The lesson is this, that in spite of knowing the one message, perhaps because of it, we are compelled to live the other, to stretch the best that is in us, our compassion, our curiosity, and in the process, give the world what it needs more than ever before. We, too, must always hear the distant screams of our fellow creatures that for the rest of his life, Darwin could not smother. No age, says psychiatrist Robert Coles, has been without its hurt and vulnerable people. Who, Coles asks, is without pain or anxiety in one form or another, at one time or another in the course of a lifetime? One of the ways to gain a moral sense of who and what we are, he continues, is to get outside ourselves and help others. Remember, graduates, all neglect is malignant, all insensitivity is personal. In both your public and private selves, continue to extend your benefit for all, the person and the planet. In both your public and private selves, act with purpose. Be vigorous. In the Discourses, Machiavelli, who wrote more than The Prince, had this advice in all matters. I believe believed and shall always believe that it is better to act in regret than not to act in regret. In The Unbearable Likeness of Being, novelist Milan Kundera speaks of the fairly young and the musical compositions of their lives still in its opening bars. Though not yet far into the melody, already you are no strangers to stress, to pressure, to disappointment. Already you are survivors. Be confident. Know you have earned the right to take your journey's next step. In the years you have been at CSU, the world has taken a few turns, and I can echo some of the things that Dick has just pointed out. When you began your freshman year, seniors, there was a USSR, a Yugoslavia, a Burma, 2 Germanys. The list goes on, a cartographer's nightmare or dream come true. That will continue, as we all know. At best, life is quirky, it's irrational, mad, and as the ex-extensionists so keenly perceive, it's absurd. The Just Desserts Company of San Francisco has it right. Their employees are now sporting t-shirts with this message: life is uncertain, eat dessert first. With these thoughts in mind, I hope the weeds I have planted will find root. Now it's time to return a kindness. 5 years ago, Jack Herrick, a 1987 graduate, stood at this spot, they're out there, on this occasion and thanked me for my friendship. And so I want to say thanks, not only to those who sit around me here, but to those scattered in the audience who have allowed me to barge in on their lives for the past 7 years. To them, and to the generosity of their parents, who have given me their most precious gift, a moment of their children's time, I owe a thanks I can repay only in the memories I will carry of them wherever I go. I have indeed been lucky to have been sandwiched between 2 groups of students, the class of 1987 and the class of 1992. Truly sweet have been both ends of my personal experience here. I can never repay these 2 classes for all their kindnesses. To them and to each of the treasures I have known in between, pardon me, you have filled my days with joy. Your refulgent faces will settle like a glowing mist, not only in my thoughts and over this place, but wherever your lives take you. Finally, I shaved this down to an hour and 45 minutes. Finally, over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to read the wisdom literature of various cultures. With the reading has come several stunning concepts, one of which is that some ancient cultures, the Egyptians, for example, and Native Americans, felt that the heart, not the mind, was the seat of the brain. From Carl Jung's visit to America in the 1920s comes this encounter with a Pueblo chief. The chief described the alarm that white Americans inspired in him. "See how cruel the whites look," he said. "Their lips are thin, their noses sharp, their faces furrowed and distorted by folds. Their eyes have a staring expression. They are always seeking something. What are they seeking? The whites always want something. They are uneasy and restless. We do not know what they want. We do not understand them. We think they are mad." Jung asked him why he thought the whites were mad. "They say that they think with their heads," the chief said. "Why, of course," Jung said. "What do you think with?" "We think here," the chief said, indicating his heart. As Shakespeare himself might have put it, make your curiosity deep as a well and your compassion wide as a church door. It's time once again to think with the heart. Thank you.
afternoon. I'm Isaac Stein, President of the Board of Trustees. You wouldn't think a board president would be dumb enough to get scheduled to follow a speech as great as that. But I am, so unfortunately I will try to just say a few words because there's very little I could do to add to the wonderful sentiments of Joel. What I wanted to talk briefly about today is crisis. Crisis is a word we hear a lot in newspapers, TV, school assemblies. We hear about a crisis in the economy, a crisis in the cities, a crisis in education, a crisis in our national spirit. As some of you may know, in Chinese, the word for crisis is a combination of the characters for opportunity and danger. For in every time of crisis, there is always a mixture of opportunity and danger. When we look at the faces of the graduates today, we see that opportunity. For these graduates are the hope of our future. Unfortunately, when we look at much of the problems in our cities today, we see the danger. If the present is the future that we borrow from our children, I'm afraid that we are not necessarily returning things better than we found them. Our generation has left these graduates a large task in finding the right mixture of values that we need to exist as a society. At CSU, the school community has done its best to help you develop those values, which will guide you for the rest of your life. Your parents and family have tried to do the same. But in the end, each of us has to take responsibility for our own values. While long books have been written about the subject, most people find that the values they believe in come down to a few simple principles. Robert Fulghum, a man who managed to be a teacher, a preacher, and a bartender, although I believe not at the same time, thought about these basic values and put them in a book entitled All I Really Need to Know I Learned in Kindergarten. I think that a short list of some of the lessons he learned is useful for all of us. He said, share everything, play fair, don't hit people, put things back where you found them, clean up your own mess, don't take things that aren't yours, say you're sorry when you hurt somebody, flush. Of course, this was written before the drought. Live a balanced life. Learn some and think some, and draw and paint and sing and dance and play and work every day some. When you go out into the world, watch out for traffic, hold hands, and stay together. And then remember the Dick and Jane books and the first word of all that you learned. The biggest word, look. Congratulations on your graduation, and thank you for leaving CSU a better place through your contributions and your commitment. Good luck in college for you seniors and high school for you 8th graders. As Obi-Wan Kenobi said, may the Force be with you.
Will the 8th grade class please rise? Mecca, Nyla, Amen. Kate Berriger. Jennifer Velarde. Elise Ariana Bess. Thomas Andrew Black. Michael C. Bostock. Jennifer Bowen. Stonington Cox. Peter J. Dirksen. Philip A. Enos. Cameron Esselot. Pauline Fallon. Melissa Madeline Fitch. Nicola Fordwood. Zachary Clare. Emily Rebecca Gluff. Alyssa Leah Gorlick. Drew Hansen. Brian R. Hober. Arna Ionescu. Kimberly Lauren Johan. Eric S. Johnson. Julie Koppel. David Wattis Littlefield. Katie Madigan. Brian Maloney. Leslie Kimball Mason. Kelly Lynn Malbach. Colin Matthew McCrate. Jason Mendelson. Tara Moore. Kevin Patrick Moran. Alex Mowry. Britt Henderson Myers. Robert Chigo Ogame. Matthew Wallace O'Reilly. Christian Robert Rasmussen. Chris Recht. Cornelia Rinderknecht. William Grinnell Roos II. Kenny Roost. Catherine Ross. Jeffrey William Roth. James Rowan. Carolyn Marie Scribner. Kathleen Mara Scully. David Sigismund. Alexis Leah Simonian. Emily Page Theobald. Stephen Takashi Wadley. Jeffrey Wang. Benjamin Douglas Werner. Sarah Marie Wilson. Chelsea Jialing Wu. The 8th grade class may be seated. Will the seniors please rise? Charles Carroll Armstrong. Priya M. Asnani. Tammy Boehner. Bill Bechtel. Kara Berg. Jessica Lynn Berkeley. Isabel Anna Bibler. Radu M. Cautis. Macy Chan. Clinton Stevens Coddington. Daniel Leonard Christiani. Sean Patrick Daly. Hillary Suzanne Duggan. Terry Noel Ellis. Candice Fallon. Linda Elaine Flores. Che Geyser. Todd Alexander Glover. Tyler Lawrence Green. Andrea Camilla Harris. W. Ray Hines Jr. Johanna Louise Carr. Todd Victor Kreiselman. Amber Maria Ingrid Kunert. Lee Alexander Kernow. Kirk Roderick Latour. Anthony Charles Lotta. John James Lavridge. Jonathan Everett Lee. Melissa Lefton. Henry Lee. Jason Robert Lowe. Edward John Mathis. Charles McDonald. Kristen McKinley. Shannon Denise Miller. Stephanie Ann Miller. Ben Mitchell. Carrie Rebecca Mew. Emily Allison Nagel. Andrew Page. Joanne Sherry Pasternak. Kevin Ryan Pope. Mark Cameron Reynolds. Rachel Elizabeth Ritchie. Jennifer Roost. Angela Rosalind Roth. Mara Harding Scribner. Kimberly Irene Scully. Siegel. Jordan Reed Sills. Alicia Elizabeth Simonian. Stephanie Hope Spansion. Patricia Alta Stallman. Kyle Robert Starkey. Kathleen Lynn Stoney. Darren Anthony Torrey. Zane Turpin. Jennifer Ray Wing. Aaron Brooke Rubel. Francis Wu. Congratulations to the class of 1992. Members of the senior class will now perform the senior song for you.
Always to everyone, or should I say goodbye? For this is a sort of goodbye. A goodbye to the 4 years we've spent here at Crystal Springs. And as the last few minutes of our high school career lingers in the air, all I feel is a sense of numbness. It is, I think, a mixture of sadness and excitement. Sadness because we are leaving our comfortable home of 4 years, Crystal Springs, and excitement because we are going on to college, a new place, and in some of our cases, a new state and a new country. But before we leave, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you to our families and friends for all their support. And I'd like to say a few things to each of the following groups: the faculty, the 8th graders, and the seniors, class of 1992. To the faculty, I'd like to say thank you. Many of you have taught us just as much outside of class as you have inside of class. In many cases, it was more than just a teacher-student relationship. It was a friendship. It is you who have coached our games, been advisors to our clubs, supported our fine arts, and most importantly, written our college recommendations. Thank you. It is a relationship that many of us will never forget. To the 8th graders, I want to wish you the best of luck in the next 4 years. There's so much to learn out there. Just relax and enjoy it. Now to the seniors. Well, we finally made it. And although the years seemed as if it had sped by, we've been through a lot. It all started in Jones Gulch, where a little nature and a little bonding was good for our morale. Then the school year started, and we all learned a new meaning to the word stress. On top of schoolwork, we had to fill out the dreaded college applications. But needless to say, and after many a late night, we all survived. Then in February, we traveled to LA and spent 2 days in Disneyland, the happiest place on earth. Well, we left Disneyland standing and returned to school only to become second semester seniors. Well, senioritis lasted for about 2 weeks, and then the perils of procrastination finally caught up on us, and we returned to being normal Crystal students. Well, we've worked very hard this year, and it's paid off, because as April has rolled around, we were actually being admitted into college. Then APs went by, followed by our colloques, and here we are today, with diplomas in hand. The 4 years of work has finally paid off. And although next year, the 61 of us will be spread out across the United States, we all will have Crystal in common. I am confident that between our towns, we will go out there and conquer the outside world. We are a very special group of people, and the 4 years, plus or minus a few, were very special times. They say that these years are the best of our lives. Well, so far they have been. Good luck to all the seniors, and may you make every year the best of your life.
Congratulations to the 8th grade and to the great class of 1992, our seniors. We will conclude our exercises today with the 8th grade forming a tunnel for the seniors to pass through. Thank you all for being here.